Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Aquarius for April 2018. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com. Check out my Work With Me tab, which has all of the information about my online vocational schools. If you'd love to be a coach as your profession and do your business online, then there might be some things there for you. Also, I have a blog that consistently has new posts, so you can check that out. If you would like a written horoscope for your sign, then definitely check out my new website, cozybysweetstarlight.com. I give a more succinct, lighter version of a horoscope for you than these videos. In the videos, I go into much more detail, lots of details about specific aspects, so you can get often different information about what's going on for you at cozybysweetstarlight.com. So what's going on in the month of April? We have this retrograde energy that I've been talking about getting very strong this month. We've got multiple planets in retrograde, some more planets joining the retrograde party. We'll go into all of those details when we talk about the general transits. There are some striking points towards the end of the month if you have to do some things, get some things done, slip in some launches in between this long retrograde phase. We'll cover all of that in the general transit report. But the theme of the month for all signs I'm calling delicious containment, and I'll go into way more details about what that containment is and how you can use that energy. The theme for the month for Aquarius in particular is still this consistent focus on money. So we talked about this last month. It was a theme that really started to get strong then. And because the Mercury retrograde transit is lingering here, plus the middle and later degree Aquarius placements are still having so much planetary energy in the second house, all early, middle, and late Aquarius placements still have this strong money focus. Okay, so increase in income, increase in different ways to make money, increase in your values and your self-value, which can cause you to earn more money, get a raise, have different income coming from different ways, different material items coming into question, coming into focus, your values about everything coming into focus, living sustainably with the earth being a topic, and you and your relationship with money, basically. The early degree placements are having this sprinkling of energy start in the third house. So I'm going to talk about this, which is most relevant at the beginning of the month for the early degree placements. But as the month goes on, the middle degree placements will start to have more energy here, and staggered a little bit later, you late degree placements will also have this happen. So the third house is what's starting to come into focus as this money topic is still very current. So how do you figure out if you're an early, middle, or late degree placement, and what does that mean? If you were born in the first 10 days of the sign, or if you're watching for your rising sign, 0 to 9 degrees, your early placement. 10 to 19 degrees for your rising sign, or the second 10 days of the sign, your middle degree. And the last 10 days of the sign, or 20 to 29 degrees, those are late degree placements. And it does make a difference. The way that I describe this is by using an analogy that has to do with a restaurant in my area. Okay, this restaurant rotates, it goes in a circle. So if you imagine the people who have their birthdays or their degrees earlier in the sign, they're at a table that is first in the rotation. So let's say it's rotating this way. They're at this table here. Then the middle degree placements are at this table here. And then the late degree placements are at this table here. So as the restaurant is moving this way, these people in this first table are starting to get a glimpse of a different view that's coming in that those middle degree placements might be able to see just a little bit, feel just a little bit, but aren't quite in front of. And the late degree placements, they can't see that from their vantage point. When we're looking at a horoscope chart, we're looking at a viewpoint. We're looking at a window, is how I describe it. So this window shows you part of a scene that is going on at that time. This is why I recommend watching for your sun sign and your rising sign at least. Many people ask, can I also watch for my moon sign? Would that also be helpful? Yes, you can, as much as you can manage. For me, it's a little bit too much to track all of those placements, but I definitely look at the sun and rising sign. And if you are ambitious, you can look at your moon sign view as well. So these different placements are these different windows into your astrological picture. So much like a house. If you look out one window, maybe you see a skyscraper before you. If you look out this window, maybe you see a garden. One view doesn't negate the other view. They're both true at the same time. And that's how these watching for your rising sign and watching for your sun sign or whatever else goes on. They're both true at the same time, just like the windows from a house tell you a more detailed story about what it's like to live in that house. Watching for multiple placements shows you what the astrological picture is in a more detailed view through more windows. Okay, so back to this sprinkling of third house energy that the early degree placements are in when we start out the month simultaneously with the second house focus. Middle degree placements might start to see a little bit, and then the late degree placements, it's going to take a little bit longer for you to get here. Third house has to do with communication, transportation, mobility, relatives that are not your parents or kids. So sisters, brothers, siblings, uncles, aunts, etc. Yeah, I already said siblings. Okay. Neighbors even can be in there. So this can come up in many ways. You know, many people will have their computer or their phone or their car go on the fritz from the Mercury retrograde energies plus this focus in the third house. Or they might be reconsidering things with their car or their devices or communication or transportation in general during this period of time. If you have to get a new device and you can hold off until the latter part of the month, there's better long-term energy then. If you have something break and you have to get it and you can't do without it, try to do an interim thing if you can. If not, definitely look at paperwork very carefully and keep all your paperwork in one place, because the odds that you'll have to go back for things are increased. But there's some pretty good energy at the end of April and in the beginning of May if you have to get a new device or a car. Okay, so, and that very well could happen. So questions around that are coming for you. Could also be that the second house focus brought you more money and now you want to upgrade your devices and phones, etc. So that would be a normal sequence that we see as the planets move from the second house to the third house. So these are the things that are most on my mind for some specific energies that are bubbling up for Aquarius. Now I'd like to go into more detail, lots of detail about the specific aspects this month, what days they're going to occur on, what aspects they are, what you can expect with them, and also some more general understandings of this month so you can most use the energy and place this month within the rest of the year so you have a better understanding of what we're working with. So the theme of April 2018 for all signs is delicious containment. Containment is what I call this spiritual law that actually has, I've heard many different names, but it's a practice where we hold ideas, projects, and opinions, and in general, our energy close to us. The understanding of this is twofold. One piece is that energy can be stronger when it is allowed to properly gather instead of being dissipated as it's being created. The second is that there are appropriate times for bringing energy in whatever form out from your personal aura. So this practice of containment, which what I'm calling delicious containment, is the energy that I feel is very descriptive of the best way to use April. This month is strong with Aries energy, which of all the signs of the zodiac is the antithesis of containment. You know, usually at this time it's appropriate to send off energy off in all these different places. That's the nature of Aries. But we have Mercury retrograde until April 15th, and then, of course, the days around April 15th can go more haywire with communication and travel mishaps. And then we still have the Mercury retrograde shadow period for all of April into the 1st of May until May 4th. So essentially the whole month is covered in some kind of retrograde energy. There are quite a few usable points towards the end of April, but the general energy of the month is this retrograde. So we have the Mercury retrograde, of course Jupiter is still retrograde, that turned retrograde at the beginning of March. Now in April, we also have Saturn and Pluto joining the retrograde party. So it's just an energy that, as I've talked about for months, you know, as as 2018 goes on, we're just getting deeper and deeper into this story of retrograde. So this month invites delicious containment as a viewpoint and a practice. And seeing this as an exercise, spiritual exercise, a mental exercise, emotional exercise, instead of a frustrating chore, can completely transform the experience. So the reasons, besides the fact of all the retrogrades, why I'm calling this a month for containment is because we've got this theme that started in March of Aries planets bumping up in a challenging aspect to Saturnian forces. And that's either through aspects with Saturn himself or some aspects with Pluto, which is in Capricorn. So this energy of this, robust, youthful, zesty Aries energy, like the bull in a china shop, right? Bumping around. And then Saturn as this stern figure who is looking with, with harshness upon the frivolity of this Aries energy. So a lot of the things that we try to put forth are going to bump up against these forces, which further reiterate why we want to hold things close to us, because criticism may be more, frustration around us, within us may be more. And so the more you can hold your energy close to you, the more you'll be better prepared for this, we'll call it a mini launch window in May. We talked about, if you've been watching my videos for a while, that starting from March into the middle of December 2018, we've got personal planets retrograde, Mars, Venus, Mercury, or their shadow periods dominating the whole rest of the year. So if you're trying to do something important, if you're trying to bring something out into the world, there is a pocket of time before the middle of December when this is done, this whole long retrograde story is done. So starting at the end of April and throughout May, especially more towards the beginning, there are these points that if you have to get something out before December, that these are really great striking points where you won't have to navigate as strong of retrograde energy. So I'll talk about some of those dates in April as we get up to the play-by-play. So your urge to take action could be very strong this month because Aries will make you do that. You'll know which things you need to further fine-tune or have patience with, because they will be tested by these forces that are coming. So if you're trying to push something out and it's not working out, then do your best to not push through it and just sort of follow the signs. One of the exceptions to this focus on just bringing past projects to closure, basically the story of retrograde is this energy of things from the past coming into the present. So retrograde times are a fantastic time to go over old projects, to go over old anything that you haven't done, unfinished task lists, anything that has been building up, taking care of those things is more favored than trying to start too many new things. Of course, if you do have to start a new thing, this window at the end of April, beginning of May is your best bet until December. But one exception to this is fun or creativity just for the sake of itself. So something that isn't planning on having a long-term effort, like if you're an artist and you want to play, or if you just want to be artistic, you don't have to not do something new. It's just the things that you really need to have longevity, or you really intend to have longevity. You don't want to put those too far out away from you at this time. Unless circumstances are bringing that already and it's not you doing the pushing, then you can enjoy whatever rolls in, because sometimes retrogrades roll things in to for you from things that you've done before. So if you've worked hard before, if you've done anything with your work and on any level, these things could roll into you now in the retrogrades. They could come to fruition, but you can see that the difference in the energy is more like you're not pushing, you're allowing things to come in. I very much like the analogy of the spider for this period of time, because the spider creates the web and then just hangs out and wait for food to come to it. And that's what these retrogrades are like. So the things you put into motion, you can continue working with them. Business as usual, continue working with that, and otherwise focus more on the things that are coming to you and having fun. So anything as far as fun and creativity, just for the sake of itself, that's great for now. There is a dominance of earth energies this month, starting with the Taurus placements as well as the aspects with Aries and these Capricorn placements. So this is bringing the caution to maintain practicality with the pursuit of fun and leisure, because reckless actions are not very well supported at this time. But adventure and impulse and randomness could have its place as long as caution and practicality are sisters in the venture. Okay, so in summary, productive projects, especially ones with an eye to the past or past done now, where you're not pushing too hard in areas that don't seem to flow, taking action on unfinished business, researching, doing work on ideas, opportunities that came up before this time, to use this combination of action-oriented and backward-focusing energies. It's also extra prudent to put extra effort into guarding your body, especially your head. Aries rules the head, and there are some challenging aspects with Aries throughout the month, especially the earlier half to 2/3. Okay, so why is May my favorite month for launching something between now and the rest of the year? It's because as of May 4th, Mercury retrograde will be clear, so you won't have to contend with that for a while now. But then on June 26th, Mars goes into retrograde. I happen to love Mars retrograde now. I have Aries rising, and Aries and Scorpio people are most affected by the Mars retrograde, although everyone is affected. And so in general, Mars retrograde, which is coming, this energy is starting in May. So this is your last month, at the end of April, beginning of May, to not have this Mars retrograde energy around. This Mars retrograde energy it makes people lazy. The one exception to this is sometimes when people have Mars in retrograde in their chart, natally, sometimes they have the opposite things happen. Sometimes they get super motivated and super productive when usually they're not any of those things. So there are some different rules sometimes for those of you who have that in retrograde natally. But most people will experience getting lazy. Things, their ambition sliding, and even for me, and I'm super ambitious all the time. And then when Mars goes into retrograde, I don't want to do anything. And so I used to fight that and have frustration, which is the keynote to Mars retrograde, when you don't follow the energy. But now I just don't do much. And so knowing that that's coming, you want to use these dates at the end of April, beginning of May, before those, lazy bones start to roll in. You want to use that as best as you can. So that's why I say May, because you'll start to see that slow down very likely from Mars the deeper you get into May and definitely into June. One thing that I really love for April, May, June, and retrogrades in general is travel. So looking ahead, April can be great for travel. The end of April might be a little bit better for making some plans because you don't have the retrograde to deal with as much. If you're interested in getting monthly astrology travel reports, then check out my new website, astrologykissedtravelbliss.com. And you'll get monthly astrology travel reports and other travel support and inspiration there. So that's the bulk of May. So we've got, I'm going to break this down for you, give you aspects that I think will be relevant, the dates that they happen, and things that I think you can do with this energy. If you'd like a written version of this general transit review, including these dates that I'm going to talk about, you can go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, and you can sign up for my free email newsletter, and that will get you access a month ahead as usual, plus the current month, to this general transit reading in a written form, which some people really appreciate because sometimes hearing it and trying to keep track of all of it is difficult. So you can catch that at anniehelpsyou.com. So, April 1st, April Fool's Day, we've got a conjunction between the Sun and Mercury in Aries. So fast thinking, fast communicating, fast moving characterize this aspect. Inspiration can run strong, but also so can ego and frustrations. So if you can think twice before speaking and look twice before changing lanes, and definitely guard your head and neurological system, that will be really great for that time. Now, also do note that even though I'm giving you the dates of the actual transits, we can experience a transit before or after the actual transit occurs. So know that these dates are sort of a middle ground, that you can feel them before or after these dates, okay? So don't hang your hat too heavily on the day. On April 2nd, we have Mars and Saturn conjunct in Capricorn. So, and the sun is highlighting all of this, making it stronger. So careful, practical actions carry great weight now because of that Capricorn energy. Mars rules movement and action. Saturn rules care and practicality. So you also can have movement seeing obstacles at this time, because sometimes Capricorn energy can do that. But also sometimes Capricorn can bring this rise of support from a more established person or entity. So you could find either obstacles or support from this aspect. And efficiency is definitely beckoned. April 4th through 5th, Mercury in Aries is squaring Mars and Saturn in Capricorn. So impulsiveness, thoughtlessness, things like that can bring strong conflict and frustration right now. You can see why I have given for you this theme of delicious containment. So we're talking about these aspects. You can see there's this rambunctiousness running up against this, these obstacles, this sternness, this short-term energy running up against long-term energy. And that's why the more you keep your energy closer to yourself, you're going to be able to float like a spiritual ninja through these aspects. All right, so anything said or done at this time must pass the Saturn tests of practicality and tradition. April 7th is one of the sweet spots of the month. There is a beautiful aspect between Venus in Taurus and Saturn in Capricorn. And this could bring a victory from the challenges of the aspects before and after that are affecting us now. And as the theme of the month is well thought out and careful planning, and action will win over frivolousness at this time. So these earthy energies coming together in this beautiful aspect can bring some really lovely things in between these more challenging aspects. April 10th through 11th, we've got a really challenging aspect and we have a really great aspect at the same time. So the sun is squaring Pluto. Whenever we have a square, that's an aspect of conflict. It's a 90-degree angle, and things are just, it's not, I always describe a 90-degree angle like when you have to come to a stop to make a turn, like a right turn or a left turn. It's awkward. So whenever we have this aspect in astrology, it's awkward. And it's, like it feels to have to come to a very slow stop when you're trying to make a turn. So vitality is drained by run-ins with unyielding authority figures. New ways of doing things could be heavily tested by old proven ways. The beautiful aspect that's happening simultaneously is Venus in Taurus making a trine to Mars in Capricorn. So classic female and male energies coming together in a beautiful way, in a supportive way. So this is another sweet spot here among the conflicts. So softer and more refined approaches bring great harmony now. There's this story of the Taurus placements this month having some really great aspects, while the Aries aspects are having conflictive aspects. So it's telling us this story of this more refined Taurian energies, that really wins over the rumping and bumping of the Aries, just kind of recklessly moving around. So on April 12th, we have another Venus in Taurus beautiful aspect with Neptune. So sentiment and groundedness are blending nicely at this time, and hard work that carries heart is the best way to go. Okay, so things also rewarded now are the care of the senses and emotions. When we're combining earth and water energies, speaking to the hard work aspect within the heart aspect are going to be the best ways to use that. On April 14th, we have another great aspect, which is Mars in Capricorn making a great aspect to Neptune in Pisces. So this transit favors calm consistency, but working towards idealistic ends. This theme of earth and water in a beautiful aspect is strong this month at the same time as the other aspects. So this cluster of time in the middle of the month has a lot going on. We've seen a string of sweet aspects. April 15th, we've got the new moon at 26 degrees of Aries. So anybody that has Aries placements, especially near 26 degrees, is going to get an extra boost at this time. Or people with, you know, other placements that, like in the fire signs near 26 degrees, are really going to feel that. So this is a time where it's a major astrological power period. And it's actually one of the best times of the whole year to do vision boards or for wishing. The new moon in Aries, the sun moving into Aries is the astrological new year. The new moon in Aries is the kickoff party for the astrological new year. And that's what's happening at this time. So it's zesty, it's forward moving. In the midst of this backward rolling, you know, there are these bursts of effervescence. So you get 10 new moon wishes, especially on the topics of Aries related things. So independence, inspiration, balancing ego, motivation, healing anger in the neurological systems, and any other malady based in the head region, taking action or balancing impulsivity and maturity. On this same day, Mercury is going direct at 4 degrees of Aries. So the post-shadow period, like we talked about before, lasts until May 4th. So that means that every day past April 15th, we will have less of this confusion and interruption to plans from the Mercury aspect, but it will still be present. It will just be getting lighter and lighter towards the end of the month. These days around the time that Mercury goes direct, or retrograde for that matter, like the few days before and the few days after, tend to be a little bit more chaotic. So as this ruler of communication and mobility shifts gears, I always describe this as like having to do a U-turn. So you have to slow down, you have to completely come to a stop, you have to go back, and then you have to get back up to the speed that you were at. So once these days around the time that Mercury goes direct, that's like making the U-turn. Okay, so it's awkward. Cars rushing by you, you have to try to get in and get up to speed. That process of getting up to speed is the process between the time it goes direct and the time that the post-shadow period ends. Okay, so you'll be getting back up to speed between April 15th and May 4th. April 17th, we have Venus in Taurus opposing Jupiter in Taurus, Jupiter in Scorpio. So sensual desires can easily turn into gluttony at this time. Any aspect with Venus like this in opposition can bring excess. So excessive indulgence can be self-limiting at this time. You know, it's definitely a lesson in learning when to say when on many different levels. April 18th, as we mentioned earlier, Saturn goes retrograde. So it starts at 9 degrees of Capricorn. It goes back to 2 degrees of Capricorn through September 5th. Saturn has been dishing out hard lessons and major manifestation in the Capricorn areas of life, so business, responsibility, relationship with father figures and authority, accomplishment, and one's place out in the world, since the end of 2017. So these lessons and external focus start to lighten now, and they become more internal and more in the backdrop. I like to describe Saturn retrograde as a break between the lessons. So even though you all who have between 2 and 9 degrees of Capricorn, those planets are going to be, or Cancer for that matter, and actually a lot of other placements that are near 2 to 9 degrees are going to feel this. But in any case, it's like a going back over lessons that already started to come in since the end of 2017. But it seems like the second time the lesson hits, it's a little lighter usually than the first time, because it's like it comes in and then it's like, oh, okay, well, this again. Although occasionally there is a situation where you didn't really get the lesson the first time, and so the second time you have to really get it. Okay, so Capricorn, Libra, Aries, or Cancer placements from 2 to 9 degrees are going to have a continuation of the stories of conflict that started at the beginning of 2018. And the people with 2 degrees to 9 degrees of Scorpio, Pisces, Taurus, or Virgo placements, the blessings that Saturn has brought in recent months will get more enhanced, okay? So, because there's positive aspects between those things. I don't want to even say positive. They're more coherent and easier. Ultimately, even the challenging aspects can be positive, and that's part of our work as spiritual seekers, to turn those lemons into lemonade. Okay, so on April 18th, the Sun and Uranus are conjunct in Aries. So the chance for jolting surprises are much more increased now. That's the tagline when you have the Sun and Uranus get together. And that can be for better or worse. So you, again, especially guard your head and neurological system. Be especially careful when you're moving your body. Look twice before crossing a street, before changing lanes, before doing anything reckless. I wouldn't plan your first super dangerous expedition that's physically challenging today if you can help it, because there are more variables. And if you do, you just have to be much more careful and aware of your body and other things that are around you. April 22nd, Pluto goes retrograde at 21 degrees of Capricorn, and it goes back to 18 degrees of Capricorn through September 30th. So Pluto really revels in this retrograde, and it's retrograde almost half of the year. So we really feel this more in the backdrop, but people who have placements from 18 to 21 degrees in the Capricorn, Libra, Aries, or Cancer will receive deeper doses of this Plutonian medicine that has been dealt in recent months. And there's really nothing short of major transformation afoot. And those who have placements from 18 to 21 degrees of Scorpio, Pisces, Taurus, and Virgo, the blessings that Pluto has brought in recent months will be further enhanced. Okay, so now we're starting to get into some of the energies that I really like if you have to launch something. And of course, as usual, they tend to be present at the same time as there are these other challenging aspects going on. So you really have to feel your way through this and not stick too closely to a certain date that I might give you. But by April 23rd and 24th, we're far enough away from Mercury having gone direct that if you have to start to get some things done, Mars in Capricorn making a great aspect to Jupiter in Scorpio is wonderful for collaborations, especially for business. So you've got that going on. And then on April 25th, we've got Mercury in Aries squaring Saturn in Capricorn. So this can definitely be a time of conflict that you have to dance around as you're trying to use these other energies. So communication and other expression may be blocked or challenged at this time, and ideas presented will bump up against this long-term minded Saturn. You know, these Aries energies or these new exciting energies, and this, you know, these Capricorn energies are like, but what about the old way? You know, what about the traditional way? What about the way that makes sense? So you've got that going on then. On April 26th, we have Mars and Pluto conjunct in Capricorn. It means they're right together. So this can be an amazing time to get things done. So I really like this time for if you have to launch something, if you have to do something and you can't wait and it's flowing, the energy's flowing. You're not completely out of the Mercury shadow period yet, but it's definitely a very powerful time and you want to know about this date to use it if it's flowing. So important meetings and plans have great support now, but also note, due to the aspect the day before with Mercury and Saturn, some lingering tests or conflicts could be standing before forward movement. On April 29th, this is another aspect that I love. The Sun in Taurus is making a trine with Saturn in Capricorn. So this is one of my favorite aspects for moving forward this month and taking steps to lock in long-term plans. So even amidst the previous, current, and upcoming retrogrades, this can be a great time to slip in some launches or big decisions or steps. And this coincides with the full moon at 9 degrees of Scorpio, which can bring fullness, completion, fruition, and possible drama to all things Scorpio. So intimacy, sex, power, collaboration, sharing and merging of resources, inheritances, loans, credit, debt, marriage, esoteric topics, psychology, astrology, mysteries. All of these areas you might see some fullness, things being brought to light, coming to a head to be dealt with, or something worked on coming to fruition. So those are the aspects that I find most noteworthy this month. Definitely go to anniehelpsyou.com. Check out my courses at my Shine Your Brilliance University. I have a vocational school where I can help train you into your new field that you love if you're in resonance with what I teach. I also have my Astaria School of Practical Magic, which is a wonderful esoteric school that helps you bring the less tangible understandings and wisdom of the universe into your tangible reality. Also, I have my website, Cozy by sweetstarlight.com, where you can get written horoscopes each month which are much more succinct and lighter than the deep details that I go into in my videos. So you can check out cozybysweetstarlight.com for your monthly horoscopes, always a month early, plus lots of other blog headers there. And if you would like a reading, then definitely contact my husband, B.R. Newman, at iamhelios.com, IAMHELIOS.com, and check out his website and all the offerings he has there, including tarot scopes and some really awesome choose your own tarot adventures. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.